Greetings everyone. In this video I will be doing monthly maintenance on my tropical paludarium. If you haven't seen my previous videos, this is tropical paludarium. It's 160 centimeters long, 30 centimeters wide, and the water is approximately 30 centimeters, so 1 foot. I get quite a few questions about how I do maintenance on this paludarium and whether I'm doing water changes and what sort of filtration I have in here. So all of these questions, I guess, will be answered in this video. Normally I don't change any water in here. I just top up water that evaporates, which usually happens about once or twice a week. I would add about like half a bucket of water, like this sort of bucket. This is a 10-liter bucket. Apart from that, about once a month, I would switch off this pump and I will remove the sponge which is connected to this pump, and I will wash it in some fish tank water. But because I'm not doing any water changes, because I'm not removing any water from this fish tank, I'm using water from my other fish tanks. So there is a huge bucket of water. You can see it's yellowish. It's from one of my pleco tanks in my fish room. Well, I know all the thing about pathogens and all the bacteria moving from one tank to another, but pretty much in both of these tanks fish are healthy, and I have no problems sort of washing a sponge from this tank in a water from another fish tank, because all of these fish are being fed similarly, and I'm using my hands in both of these tanks, so I don't mind sort of transferring bacteria from one of these fish tanks to another. So I'll start by switching off the pump. Well, this is my group of Corydoras CW28. They like this corner, and unfortunately I'll have to scare them away, because every time when I move the sponge, well, they get really scared. Well, normally within one month, this pump, well, the sponge is certainly quite dirty, but also the pump itself does get quite dirty. There's some sediment and all the sort of stuff, so it's a good habit for me to just clean. Sometimes I will remove impeller, sometimes I will clean it inside, sometimes I won't do that, but we'll see how dirty it is inside. Well, it's pretty dirty, so I will have to remove all of this in order to clean it. But now I need to remove that sponge without causing too much mess, which is always challenging. And we have here rather unpleasant discovery: dead and half-rotten cardinal tetra. Unfortunately, quite a few of these small fish, they get stuck behind this sponge, and that's how they lose their lives, unfortunately, but that does happen. Next job is to wash the sponge. It may not look as dirty as you think it is, and basically that's not an aquarium filter sponge. It's a sponge for, I don't know, some kind of a mechanical filter which is not aquarium filter, so it has a hole that goes all the way through, and I just plug it with a piece of another sponge, so there will be no fish that will get in there. And this is how water changes its color. Well, I might be wrong, but I believe the water is brown rather than dark or black, because of a lot of decaying leaf litter. I have quite a bit of leaf litter, and it is decaying, and unfortunately Corydoras and other bottom dwellers just move it around. So eventually it all settles down on that sponge, which is the purpose of this sponge, to collect all the debris. This water is perfect for watering houseplants, and this is what we're gonna do with that. 5 minutes later and the sponge is clean. Well, obviously it's not 100% clean, and this sort of sponges, you can wash them probably for hours and there will be still something coming out of them, but it's mostly, like I would say, 90% clean, and that's water. Next thing, I'm gonna clean the pump. I will use this brush for bottles, and sometimes I'm being asked where did I buy this brush, and I bought it on eBay probably like 10 years ago, and it's designed for bottles, not for fish tank. Again, I will use the same water to wash it in here, and generally it doesn't take too much time to clean it. I'm considering whether I should clean the impeller, and probably I will. Which means I need to disconnect the drip wall. This is a drip wall pipe, and this is a 1200 liters per hour pump, 25 watt. Well, it's not particularly energy saving, but it has the same wattage as an averagely sized canister filter, so I wouldn't say that it's less efficient in terms of power consumption than a canister filter. Well, it's quite filthy in here. The impeller, well, you can see that it was hot, so it's sort of piping. The impeller is not that dirty, but the impeller shaft is dirty. So I will clean the impeller shaft as well. Yes, unfortunately I'll have to sort of wash it in the fish tank water, but that's fine. I just don't want to disconnect this pump because I'm lazy, to be honest. It's not that difficult to remove it, but sometimes I'm just too reluctant to do it. But I guess I will have to, because some of the suction cups move the side. So the pump is clean. I said I'm not doing a water change, but I decided to siphon all this debris that did come off the sponge. It's not a proper water change. I'm not going to remove too much water, just probably less than this bucket. Try to not to disturb these corridors. Well, there is nothing wrong in this debris, and actually it will serve as sort of a fertilizer for the plants. So I'm just removing it for aesthetical purposes, because once I switch on the pipe it will be all in the air, and before it will get filtered it's gonna take some time. Basically this is how much water I siphoned out. So one other piece of maintenance that I'm going to do is to clean the glasses. Well, to be honest, the glasses are not particularly dirty, but I would prefer them to be a bit cleaner. I only clean the front glass. I will not clean the sides because I'm not watching it from the sides. I'm going to add some fresh water. It's about 1 bucket of filtered tap water. So basically the purpose of adding this water is to compensate for any evaporation that has happened during the week. I'm thinking actually that is enough, but we're going to see now once we put back the pump, the sponge. I'm always trying to make sure that the gap between the sponge and the glass is minimal so nobody gets stuck in there, but that never works. Alright, I'll probably add a bit more water. I always like to wipe up this area so the viewing glass above is clean. And the light switched off. So we'll turn back the pump. And one of the other questions that I get is how do I actually clean this drip wall pipe? So what I normally do is I switch on and switch off the pump a couple of times, and that pushes water through the holes within the drip wall, and I wouldn't say it makes it perfectly clean afterwards, but I think it does the job. Well, that's it. The water is a bit cloudy, which is normal. It will take probably about an hour for the water to clear up and until all this debris settles down on the sponge. So in total it takes me 25 minutes a month to do maintenance on this fish tank. And again, that's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of canister filters these days, because to service a canister filter, and probably just like middle-sized canister filter, it will take me an hour to disassemble it, to wash the media, to reassemble it, to prime it, to get it started. It takes so much time. But with this sponge, 5 minutes of sponge washing, about 5 minutes putting it back, and the job is done. And actually, I've had this system of filtration on this Paludarium for over a year now. It works great. Obviously, I don't have any large or massive fish in here. That's mostly Corydoras and small tetras. But yeah, I'm feeding them quite a lot, and there's also a lot of leaf litter constantly decaying, especially from this corner. So there's quite a lot of dirt, I would say, but this sort of filtration works great for me so far. Well, alright, I'll add some more footage of the plants, mostly terrestrial plants. Well, this is Echinodorus argentinensis, and it's not a terrestrial plant, but it's growing immersed and looking great so far. So I'll end this video with some footage of the plants in this Paludarium. And I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to leave your comment. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of videos, which helps me a lot in making this content. And I'll see you soon in further videos.